So today we will be drawing and making a tongue of fire craft today. So as you can see here, I already made a small one right here. And all we need is just a letter size paper. It's very simple and you can do it anytime at home. So if you take a closer look at this one here, so I have a bird attached to basically a fire tongue right here. So it's basically a spiral coming downward. And because of the perspective, it might be a little bit hard for you to see. So I'll bring it a little bit closer to you so that you can see it. So right here is the bird, and then we have a spiral coming downward like this. So it's gonna be bouncing up and down. I'm gonna put it back here, and today I will demonstrate how to make this one simple. All we need is just a piece of paper. We need pencil, we need Sharpie, and we need color pencils to color them in. And also we need scissors and glue to cut them out and glue the fire onto the bird right here. So let's just get started. Now, of course, the paper here, right here, I'm gonna be using my pencil and then tracing it with a Sharpie, but it's gonna be a little bit unclear if I use a pencil to draw. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a few steps with pencils, and then I'm gonna switch to my marker. But I want you to trace your drawing with the marker only. So do not draw with a marker. So let's just get started. So this is the paper, and what I'm gonna do is I am going to divide my paper in half. So as you can see, I'm gonna draw a line in the middle to divide up my paper. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a guideline down the center of my page here, so that we have the left side and the right side. The reason is because we want both sides to be symmetrical. We want both wings to be balanced. So what I do next is I'm gonna continue with my marker, but I want you to use a pencil first because there are a few lines that we need to erase afterward. So what I'm gonna do now is when I'm drawing the bird, I want to make sure that it's in the middle. So with the guideline in place, I want to draw the egg shape in the center here. So right here, and then continue here. Alright, so here's an egg shape for my body for the bird. And then what I do is I'm going to draw a head. The head is simple. I just draw a curved line at the top and coming back downward like this. And then what I do is from the guideline, I'm going to draw in the middle, I'm going to draw the little beak. So it's a curved line, and then it's kind of like a pizza, right? It's like a pizza, upside down pizza. And of course, I draw the two circles on the side, and I can shade it in it as well. So here's one, and here's the other one. All right, so two little cute little eyes on my bird right here, the pigeon here. What I do next is I have to draw the tail. So what I do with the tail is I draw two lines coming downward. So 1, 2, and I draw a curved line. Now this one here, draw lightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dotted line to show you that it is there, but we will be erasing this dotted line afterward. And then what you do is I want you to put a few dots on there. I'm going to put 4 dots on my guideline. And from the dots to dots, I want you to draw curved lines like upside down rainbows, so that we have the feather for the tail. And then I can do a few lines going upward. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that we have a tail in place. Now I want to draw the claws there. Alright. So what I do is on the body at the lower parts of it, I want to do a curved line. So again, this is only a guideline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use dotted line. So 2 curved lines to show the top parts and the bottom part of the claws. And on the left side, I'm going to do oval shape. From the top line to bottom line, you can see that. So the oval start from the top to the bottom and going back to the top. 1, 2, 3 on the left, and 1, 2, 3 on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it slightly closer so you can see it because it's smaller. Okay, so right here, those are the claws. All right, so now that we have the head and the tail and the body, now we're gonna start with the wings. Now for this bird, because the wings are wide open, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw big curves to the side. So on the bottom part of the head that's attached to the body, I'm gonna draw a big curved line to the left and a big curved line to the right. And then again, I'm gonna do the guideline again. I want to draw a big curve coming downward to where the tail is. So basically it's like this. So a big curved line. All right, you can see the curved line on this side. And a curved line going back up on the other side. Now, keep in mind that is not a straight line. So we're not making a triangle shape, but the line has to come down first and then starting to turn to the center, moving toward the center on a horizontal line. Okay, so it's a curved line. It's kind of like making a pie. All right, after that, I want to do the same thing as the tail to draw the feathers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a few lines on the bottom part of my wings to show the feather. So you can see how that I'm adding some guidelines. So adding some dots onto the guideline. And now we have some dots. And then I'm going to connect the dots with curve. A lot of curves. So one dot is one curve. All right, like that. Now on this side here, all right, so now we have the wings spread out. Now I want to draw the fire. Remember in the story, the Holy Spirit came down like fire. People actually see fire. We don't no longer see this today, but this little craft can remind us that even though we don't see it, we know that it's still there. We can still experience it. In the past, they not only experience it, but they actually see it. They actually hear the wind. So this little craft hopefully can remind you that that's what happened in the past. So what I'm going to do now is at the bottom of my page, I'm going to draw a big circle. Now this circle needs to be big enough so that you can easily cut it out and not break the fire. So here's my big circle, and make sure that is using almost the entire half a page to draw the circle. Now to draw the spiral inside, there's a little trick I can teach you today. So to do that trick, to do the spiral, what I'm going to start with is a circle like this, around the size of a penny, even though we don't use penny today, and then it's a little bit bigger than your fingernail, let's just say, or your thumb. All right. So after we draw the circle in the middle, in the center, what I like to do is I'm going to draw some guideline before I actually draw the spiral. So the first guideline I'm going to draw is a line at the very bottom, right underneath. Okay, so right underneath the circle, around halfway. So halfway from the bottom of the circle to the bottom of the big circle, halfway, you're going to make a little mark. Okay, one little dot. I'm going to bring it closer because we need to make a few more dots. All right, we need to make a few more marks. On the left side, around one finger apart, all right, you're going to draw one more finger apart, two. So you'll see that I can fit 3 fingers around, okay? So 1, 2, 3. So you have 2 dots on the left, 2 dots at the top, so they're evenly spaced. So from the top of the small circle to the top of the big circle, evenly spaced, you have 2 lines. Now, keep in mind, and on the right side, we have 2 dots too. So keep in mind, I'm going to bring it closer again. This is very important that we have 2 dots on the left, 2 dots at the top, 2 dots on the right, but only 1 dot at the bottom here. Only 1 at the bottom. So now what we need to do is we need to start from the right side of this small circle. Okay, we need to start from the right side, kind of like drawing, writing the number 9. So you see how that we have a little tail coming down on the right side, and it has to curve to to the left side, the first dots on the left. Okay, so right here. And then it goes up to the first dot on the top, comes down to the first dot, and then go down to the first. I should make this dot a little bit lower, but go down to the first dot at the bottom, and then to the first dot on the left. Second dot to the left, second dot to the top, and second dot to the right. And then what I do now is I make a little dots at the very bottom of the big circle. So a little dots at the very bottom, and I need to connect that to the dot in a curve. So go downward and to the dots. And now we have a spiral for our fire, for the fire. So now that I have drawn all the parts, what I want you to do is take your marker. So you should be drawing all of this with a pencil. So now take your marker, your Sharpie, and then I want you to trace all of them. Now remember the guidelines, the dotted line I used for the wings, for the tail, and inside the head here. So in between the head and the body, those parts should not be traced. So what you want to do is use your eraser and erase those guidelines first, and also the center line. You do not need that center line as well. Erase those lines, and then you would trace the bird and trace the spiral. After you trace them, it's time to color them, of course. So what we need for the colors is this. For the fire, you guys know what color is the fire, right? It's going to be warm color. And now I want to teach you a little bit about warm color as well. So when you think of fire, fire is really hot and warm. If you have been to camp, you would lit a campfire before, you know that is really warm. And the color of the fire is red, orange, and yellow. So you can now remember that these are the color, what we call warm color. So here we go. So yellow, orange, and yellow. All right, so we are going to start with lighter color, yellow. All right, and then we use orange, and then we use red. So let's get started with yellow. Now, I'm going to show you how to color in the fire so that it looks like fire. It doesn't look like other things. And in the middle here, this part, the circle, we do not have to color it, even though you can, but because this part will be glued to the tail like this, okay? It's going to go behind the tail and glued to the tail. We do not really need to color that part in. Okay, so let's get started. So what we do is, with the yellow, I want to color the inside of the spiral first. So following the spiral, kind of like a tunnel. So in the middle of the tunnel, I'm going to do the yellow part. So I'm going to color the yellow right here. So it's really, really bright. And I'm not going to go color in all of the spiral here. I just want to show you how to color it, but you should continue down all the way to the tail of it. So here's a yellow in the middle. I'm just going to do one complete circle. And then I'm going to put down the yellow. I'm going to move on to the orange. The orange is just a little bit outside the yellow. So on the side, so in between the edge to the yellow, and in between the edge and the yellow, we're going to color it orange like so. Right here. Don't forget, you need to color both sides like this. So not just one side. You need to color the top and bottom, or in this case, left and right on the side. And then you're going to go around all the way. All right, so after the yellow, and then now the orange. And after the orange, we're going to color in the red. All right, so here's the red. Simple. We're going to color the really edge part of it. I'm still leaving some empty spot just for the red. The red's here. So I'm going to color it all the way from right here up to here, right here. So remember, you need to color both sides, not just on one side. Both sides, you need that. So I'm going to bring it closer again to show you my colors. Now, of course, I can color a little bit more if I have time, but for now, it's just to show you. Yellow in the inside, then orange, and then red. All right. Now, what about the bird? Of course, the bird, mine is a pigeon, is white. And if you like, you can also color in a different color. It can be a different kind of bird. But for mine, it's just gonna be white. But I did add shadows on the bottom of the wings, on the bottom of the body, and definitely I need colors for the beak and the claws, the hands. So for those parts, you may choose your own color. For example, if you like to follow mine, I use a yellowish, orangish color for those. All right, there. All right. And then I use slightly kind of like a grayish blue color for the shadow. So for the shadow at the bottom of the body here, I'm gonna add a little bit very lightly, just some shadows here so that it becomes a little bit more three-dimensional. All right. And then also on the bottom of the wings. Now, for the wings part, it's okay if we color out, if we accidentally go outside the edge, because we're gonna cut this out anyway. All right, so now it's time for us to cut them out. So I'm gonna show you how to cut it out. So when you cut it out, be careful. You don't want to cut into the fire, and you wanna cut along the circle line. So right here, I'm cutting along the circle. Now, after you cut it out, after you cut this out, you want to cut starting from the dots at the very bottom. Remember the dots. You want to cut along the edge of this spiral. Now, but be careful. You don't want to cut outside the line. You want to really follow the line. And the trick is, when you get to the very center of your spiral, you have to be careful because you don't want to cut out the entire circle in the middle. So I'm getting close to the middle now. Now, again, be careful when you cut, not to cut yourself, of course, but also don't break the paper. Your paper can be fragile. And now I'm getting to the center, I'm getting to the circle center now. What I want to do is only cut half of a circle. I don't want to cut the entire circle. So for example, this is half of the circle. Okay, so I'm leaving half of the circle uncut because that's the part that is going to be gluing onto the pigeon. If you cut it out, you will have less of it to glue. So what I do now is I fold this in half so that you'll be left with this. Okay, so I'm gonna put this way here so you can see. Okay, so if I fold it back up, so it's like this. You wanna just cut half of it. All right, so that's the part that's gonna glue to the tail. And then after the circle, now you wanna cut out this bird. And I'm gonna cut it out. Now, it's best to cut out the feather one by one. But for now, for the demonstration purpose, I will not do that. I will just cut a big curve out. All right, and I'm cutting here. And then cutting at the top. Now, because the shape is so simple, you don't have to be an expert in cutting things. And in fact, I'm not good at cutting at all, but I can still cut it out. And it just takes a little bit of time to cut out the feather, and it's gonna look so much better if you cut out the feather one by one. All right, but just for the demonstration purpose, I will not do that yet here. I'll let you do that, and really look forward to see your bird cut out. Your bird feather cut out as well. So here's my little bird cut out. Now what you need to do is you will need to glue this onto here, right? Now of course, before you actually glue this, there's few words that I would like you to add on to this craft so that you remember what this craft is about. So I'm gonna glue this here and then I'm gonna explain the words to you while I wait for this to dry. All right, so some glue, I'll show you here. So a little bit of glue. You can use white glue or glue stick as well. It's entirely up to you. And you want to lay it flat when you glue it. Now before you glue it, right, like I said, before you glue this on, you want to write the words first. Alright, so let me explain what you should write. Alright, I'll let it dry here. So you can see from this page here, I wrote a few words. And the first thing I wrote are on the wings. So it says from law, I'm going to bring it closer. From law to spirit. What does that mean? Well, basically, remember in the past where Moses got us the law, but now when Jesus are resurrected, and well, he died for us and resurrected. So now Jesus gave us not just the law, but also Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Remember when the Holy Spirit came, the people, the disciple, and everyone else, they all see the fire. The disciples see the fire going into in the air, going into their hearts. So that's what's happening here. So now that Jesus is no longer physically with us, but he is now in our hearts, and he gives us a spirit. So from law to spirit. And of course, at the bottom of the fire, remember at the end of the story that when they were speaking and they can hear their native language. Now, my native language is Cantonese, and my mom and my dad, they both speak Cantonese, and that's what I learned when I was a baby. So I understand this word here. That's the Chinese word for hello. So as you can see on the English word here, hello. Okay. So I basically translate hello into different language. And I'm not going to explain to you all of them because I don't know all of them. I only know a few of them. And I want you to find them out. I want you to find out what hello or how do you speak or how do you write hello in different languages. I want you to do a little research. So I have hello here and have the Chinese version of hello right here, Lei Ho, right? So and then I have bonjour. Bonjour is French, so it's the same thing as hello, but in French. And then I have other languages. I have like Italian, I have Korean, Japanese. I even have Hebrew in there. So I want you to find out how other people write hello. Remember, in the past, when they were speaking, they can understand their language. They can understand that in their own language. So if you're speaking to me and suddenly, even though you don't know Chinese, you don't know how to speak in Cantonese, but I can understand it as Cantonese. That's what happened. All right, so here's a little craft. Now I think the glue is drying up. All right, so now as you can see, it's gonna be hang down from the tail to the bottom is dangling here. All right, and of course afterward, if you like, you can hang this up with a rubber band. I cut the rubber band and I attach one end to my bird's head, and there you go. So here's a little mini craft that you can all work together at home. Make sure you show us your final products. All right, hope to see you again next time.